can fully monetize 5G. And it's a pleasure to be joined by Mr. Brian Danfield, Vice President of 5G Marketing for Verizon's Consumer Group, and Kostas Chalkiotis, Vice President 5G Solutions at Deutsche Telekom. So, a good deal of the focus of 5G and the value it can create is focused on digitization of enterprise, but I wanted to use this session to maybe look a little more closely at the consumer-facing value that 5G can create. So, Brian, let's start with you. Verizon has had some form of commercial 5G available for more than 2 years. Today, you're using DSS to get up to nationwide coverage, and you're steadily building out the millimeter wave network. I think there's availability in 60 markets today. And that focus on millimeter waves really unique among your comp set. So maybe you can lay it out for our audience why Verizon has, from the very beginning of their commercial 5G efforts, been focused on putting millimeter wave 5G into market, despite all of the challenges that come with the densification and propagation at that frequency.
Okay. Well, first of all, Sean, thank you for having me, and Kostas, pleasure to get to interact with you as well. Hopefully I don't say this a whole bunch of times, but like two of my favorite topics, right? 5G and how to make money. So thanks for having me here to do that. It's a great question you lay out, and I think I would probably take it sort of oversimplified from two angles, and I'll fill in a little bit here. One is the transformational customer experiences that are available to us with the capacity and ultra low latency that a millimeter wave asset will provide. And then two, we saw an opportunity because of that as well to use our experience to take a leadership role in the ecosystem to help make it real. So kind of those two big elements. And if I put a little color on the first one, I've had the privilege, I've been around Verizon a long time, so I've been through all the Gs and even before the Gs. And I find this time particularly exciting. Network as a service is our core strategy. It sets the critical foundation, but really, for the consumer, it's more about the experiences, what they can do, where they can get it, not so much the technology, although they appreciate that after the fact. So how do we take this amazing thing and then make it real? So from that standpoint, we felt like ultra wideband, which is our version, our marketing name for millimeter wave, is that transformational experience moment. And while it's true that 5G is important and needed on all bands of spectrum, as you said, just to be clear on the strategy, we've got transformational capabilities with 5G ultra wideband, and then we've got wide, reliability of Verizon 5G experience nationwide using DSS. Over time, those things start to come together for a really different experience. The introduction of millimeter wave, back, the importance, right? We felt the importance to move forward, to be first in the world commercially to push this. And the reason to bring it forward, world according to me, is I worried a lot about if 5G just becomes an icon on the phone, not a different experience, nothing that's transformational, we lose all this energy and momentum and creativity to create the experiences that we need to drive this forward. Because 5G can be something really different. And if I shared with you, and again, both of you probably have these experiences as well, but when you think about 3G to 4G, I think about this a lot. I remember sitting down and thinking, wow, we can download movies in minutes or songs in seconds. And that was amazing, and it sounds amazing. But think about that dialogue. We didn't talk at all about streaming 4K video or virtual experiences or social media, all of these dramatic things that I think by putting millimeter wave out there now, we can accelerate that imagination and thought process to really evolve things more quickly for 5G. And then the last one, I'll quickly make a comment because I'm sure I'm carrying on here too long, but shaping the ecosystem is very important. So getting millimeter wave out there, showing it, making it real, partnering with the best partners from device to applications to infrastructure to really drive it forward and make it real.
Very good. Thank you, Brian. And then Kostas, I think DT, you're using 2.1 gigahertz and 3 gigahertz spectrum, and you've got 5G services. I hope my numbers here are right, but ended 2020 with, I think, 4,700 towns and cities and about 55 million people covered. 2021 year-end goal, I think, is 80% population coverage. So I'm curious how the reception from your subscriber base has been, and if you're noticing any trends in data consumption from the users that have 5G compatible handsets and are on that network as compared to the consumption habits you might see from your LTE subs.
First of all, allow me also to say thank you for having me here. It's a great pleasure to be here and also talking to the same panel with Brian. To be honest, we used a different pathway, and what you are referring to is the German segment of Deutsche Telekom. I'm belonging to the group, so I'm supervising somehow the entire footprint that we have in Europe, and we are cooperating also with the US. What you have stated is absolutely right. By the introduction of dynamic spectrum sharing on a millisecond subframe in 2020, we managed overnight to cover more than 4,700 villages and cities and small cities. And you know that Germany doesn't have big cities. There is a wide spread of the population. And on top of this, we have provided 5G coverage, especially the logo, to the capable terminals on more than 56 million inhabitants. One additional thing that we have to mention is that we're not using just the new radio bands, but we are aggregating this with the existing LTE bands. So this comes as a booster on top of what we are offering today to our end users. And in parallel, the dynamic spectrum sharing introduction at 2.1 band, because this is the only band that we introduced dynamic spectrum sharing. And if you ask me why, I would tell you that there are some drawbacks on introducing the dynamic spectrum sharing, like reduction on the capacity and also the performance of the cell instead of using, let's say, the standalone. The LTE users are really having an enhanced experience by just introducing the dynamic spectrum sharing at 2.1, and they have additional 30 megabits boost in their normal speed. While on the other side, the 5G capable terminals can really be served with more than 1 gigabit. I have friends that when they switch off their LTE phone and they got a new 5G phone, they said, wow, this is the wow effect. They got, let's say, almost 1 gigabit or even more than 1 gigabit over the air. On the other side, it seems that the tariffs that were out there for LTE were not enough. And now we even tripled the volumes that we are offering on our tariffs for our end users that are consuming much more data than we estimated initially. All in all, we are now unlocking the potential of 5G. And in order to monetize this potential, you need A, to provide adequate coverage, and B, to provide quality of service and quality of experience to the end users. And by the introduction of dynamic spectrum sharing, along with the combination of different bands, we are progressing there. And this is just the beginning, because in Germany, Deutsche Telekom last week started the deployment of the 5G standalone, and we're getting rid of a lot of legacy things, a lot of legacy systems that we're carrying with us, providing the ultra low latency and also the enhanced user experience by simplifying the network. And more to come, like network slicing, like campus networks and so on.
And maybe we'll talk a little bit more about campus networks in a minute. But Brian, I mentioned earlier that Verizon's been in market with some type of 5G service since October 2018, I believe. You all initially went with the 5G fixed wireless using the Verizon Technical Forum standard. And you've grown the footprint of the FWA service and switched over to the 5G&R standard. And in that time, we've seen a lot of advancements on the CPE side. So I'm curious to get your take in terms of monetizing consumer 5G. What are your expectations around this fixed wireless access service?
Thank you. And thank you, by the way, for paying attention. That's exactly right. October of 2018 with our first deployments. And I think a couple of things I would say. So, I mean, just like Kostas had said there, going back to the millimeter wave network and our 5G ultra wideband network, we've got this multi-gig mobility experience that has this great added benefit, is that it's immediately capable of many use cases across the network. So it's such a great new opportunity for us. And that next one is fixed wireless. I say fixed wireless there, I won't go tangential on you, but it's important. That says fixed wireless overall, we think about, because there's LTE home that we have, and there's also 5G home. Both are very important to us. I'll focus in on 5G home specifically to your question about the migration from TF in October, the technology forum specs, to NR. So during this time frame, we've essentially now entered our third evolution of the equipment, the experience, et cetera, while maintaining a very well-received value proposition. We've been able to evolve all of our key learnings, all of our great customer feedback, and I think that's given us a real leadership advantage here to build scale, which is where we go next. So I think, kind of as a baseline, that's there. Regarding monetization and the opportunity, I mean, the bottom line of it is there's new growth and revenue opportunity for us here at Verizon. Home overall has been very important to us for a while. Started with our great Fios product that we have in the Northeast. So, we've started there, and now we've added LTE home and 5G home. We see a lot of great loyalty from our existing customers who are taking the mobile and home offering, which is really good. But in addition to the new growth in revenue, we're building a lot of new relationships with customers who are coming to Verizon just for 5G home. So just to give you some flavor on that, roughly half of our 5G home customers are not Verizon wireless customers. So that's very exciting, especially from a former sales guy. That's a lot of great opportunity here to further build that relationship. And just as a comparable, the LTE home product is much higher, skews much higher to existing customers. So, taking all that, we've put out a great value proposition. The product is performing very, very well, and it provides new growth and revenue. And the audience might be interested. I'll give you just a quick flavor. The product performance and experience has been really good. Self-setup is a big, game changer for us. It's not only about not having the appointment and waiting for somebody to do all of that, which is great, but think about when you move, as things start to scale, and you could just take it with you. And so that's very exciting for us. About 75% of our customers who attempt to set up themselves are successful. So that's a good start. And then now we can build. And the speed and reliability has been really good. It's a 300 megabit per second product. There's no cap, no contract. The price is what you see is what you get. We're delivering about a gig average speed to our consumers who are on the product, and they're using about 25 gigs a day. So when you think about that, that's comparable to any fiber product out there. So it's performing very, very well. So we finished 2020 with 12 cities. We're going to add 20 or more in 2021. We're at 18 right now. So expect a lot more from us in the 5G home space.
October 1st, 2018, Houston, Texas. That was a very memorable day for the 55 of us that work in the telecom trade media. Kostas, last week, DT announced something with the managers of the Hanover Messe facility in Hanover, to your point about campus networks. So this project, I think, includes a private network, a public network, and a mobile edge computing platform. For the folks in the audience, if you haven't been to the Hanover Messe facility, I mean, it's enormous. I think it's a million square feet at least. But maybe you can just tell us a little bit about what that network is going to do for the people that are attending the events there, and maybe how it also is going to support the venue operators as they continue to host large-scale trade fairs there.
Certainly. Allow me first of all to explain a little bit and give you some details. What are we planning to build there? Because this is, as you said, an enormous building, and it's not only a building, it's a complex of buildings. That it will be the largest campus network maybe in Europe. We are planning to build a dual slice network support with 14 antennas covering the public areas and the general public, let's say 5G access. While on the other side, we are building 70 antennas, 70, to cover the first 5 exhibition halls with 5G coverage. This network will be a hybrid network, having a private part for the exhibitors, for the employees of the Hanover Messe, and a private part and a public part that we will offer to the end users. The overall spectrum that will be offered there is a cumulative 190 megahertz of continuous spectrum, covering both the public and the private part. So we're speaking about an enormous, let's say, throughput that we can provide, and of course the capacity. And in parallel, we are offering, let's say, mobile edge computing with local breakouts, local UPFs there that will be connected to the public 5G core cloud that we will have. And this means that we can serve a huge amount of applications that we can build, or the exhibitors can build, or the owners of the venue can build in place, like low latency, ultra reliable, low latency communication, slicing for public and private paths. We can provide AR, VR experience, real services that we can offer, guaranteed quality of service, and so on. So this will become, let's say, a game changer there, and new use cases will be visible in such events like all the Messe events that are happening. On top of this, we are securing the data, because the data will stay in the place, and we will not have, let's say, data security issues, and the users will be serving the applications in a very guaranteed quality and secure manner. All in all, I would say that this is the first conference venue that is taking this application. Don't ask me which will be the use cases. We will provide the tools that the exhibitors and the owners of the Messe can build whatever the modern technology will allow them.
I hope they go for AR-based wayfinding, because I've been there about 4 times and I don't know that I've ever arrived on time for a meeting. That would be very helpful 5G use case there.
We can even provide precise positioning in this, along with the AR.
I look forward to that. So Brian, we recently got a glimpse of the latest in 5G from Verizon at the Super Bowl, and venue connectivity has been a priority for you all for some time. I know you've got networks up in a number of NHL, NFL, and NBA facilities. So, I mean, aside from just the sheer capacity needs that you would associate with a venue, maybe you can tell us a little bit about how you see 5G helping shape venue-based experiences, both in the context of this, gradual ramp up to capacity as we come out from under COVID, and then what are those next generation experiences going to look like when 5G is available ubiquitously through the venue and you have a large number of people with compatible equipment?
Okay, yeah, I think that part, it makes it really fun, and I think you nailed a bunch of the important points there actually in addressing the question. Couple of points, right? Look, the beauty of the millimeter wave application here is the places where you need that ultra high capacity and ultra low latency. You combine 5G ultra wideband and millimeter wave with our 5G Edge, our MEC application, and you're really able to deliver something special as you expand the build. And we've been doing a ton on the build, not only in the cities but the venues. So just flavor of that, we're live in 64 cities. We've got 52 stadiums, venues that are active. We've got 11 airports, and continuing to really, build more in 2021. We're going to nearly double our footprint in sites in 2021, and you'll see a few more cities as well, but you'll see a lot more build in the existing cities, in these existing venues, et cetera. So the Super Bowl is a great example, because that the team spent a ton of time and energy there really covering that stadium to give you a flavor of what it could look like. So, sort of strategically, not sort of, strategically period, combining the network with the best partnerships in bringing experiences into the venues is key, right? We've been fortunate that we have good partnerships here, partner of choice for some of the biggest brands, whether it be Disney, NFL, New York Times, Discovery. That's allowing us to create these experiences. So I may not have the answer for everything that's coming next. I think imagination is our only limitation, but just to recap a couple of things, so the audience may have not seen all of them, is certainly the 5G Super Stadium app that we did inside the Super Bowl with the multi-cam experience, leveraging the different camera angles, AR. That's a very, very cool experience within the stadium. If you didn't see, working with Epic and the Fortnite team, we created a virtual stadium experience, which was very cool and had a lot of viewership there as well from the gaming community. So that was fun. Quick aside, not necessarily a 5G thing, but you should check out sometime the Watch Together co-viewing experience we have on Yahoo Sports. That's a very cool application as well. The other one that I really like is not sports related. Well, two, I'll give you one. We did a partnership with Snapchat and the Black Pumas to build basically a video fully built on AR, VR for one of their hit songs, Colors, which was very cool to watch and see. And I think, again, just starts to unlock the way to deliver entertainment. And then one that's maybe not, I guess, less traditional, but it was very neat also, was the Met Unframed. With the Met and Verizon, we've got this augmented reality and mobile experience where you can bring the art that you love closer to you. So not to run off a laundry list, but all of those ideas, think about those types of things just continuing to expand and get better. I think it's a very cool time for that in-stadium, in-venue experience.
We'll look forward to really seeing the showcase potential of 5G in venues as we all are able to go back to them. And then, Kostas, a question for you. We've got a lot of questions in the networking platform here, just generally around OpenRAN. DT recently signed this memorandum of understanding with Vodafone, Orange, Telefonica, and I've heard some of your colleagues talk a good deal about the architectural flexibility that comes with OpenRAN. So maybe you could just tell us a little bit about what to expect from DT around OpenRAN technology in the next few years.
Certainly. To be honest, DT is one of the founding members of the ORAN Alliance, and we believe in this. We believe that the ecosystem should be fully open in order to enhance the flexibility and give us new chances to build and operate the networks, not in a closed manner, but in a flexible way. Having said that, we are putting a lot of effort not only on the memorandum of understanding, but implementing the first small town that will have ORAN equipment this year. This is the ORAN town, and in parallel, we have established, along with the partners that we signed the MOU, an OTIC lab and Open Telecom Infrastructure Certification Laboratory in Berlin, in order to certify certain, let's say, suppliers and equipment that they are fulfilling the ORAN Alliance specifications, which are, let's say, pushing the ecosystem forward. Our major aim is to open the radio access networks ecosystem and create a leverage that can help all the operators to enhance the flexibility and the way that we are building, designing, and operating networks in the future. And having said that, I would say that we will not stop until all the interfaces will be specified and implemented as open. So we're pushing forward.
Excellent. We've got a few questions coming in here from the audience that I'd like to bring in. And one of them, Brian, I know this is just core to Verizon's overall strategy, but can you explain exactly what you mean by network as a service?
So the network as a service strategy, at the core, you have all of the assets of Verizon, whether it be our LTE network, our fiber network, our 5G network, the MAC, all of the elements of the virtual network. On top of that, bringing in essentially the products and services and experiences across the board, all of the many things that we're talking about today, as well as the enterprise solutions, et cetera, and then bringing them to our customers through strong distribution to be able to bring those experiences and products to life. So sort of oversimplified, that's the three pillars of the network as a service strategy.
Great. And then a question come in here for you, Kostas, around your transition to standalone and just what sort of functionality is opened up when you make that switch from NSA to SA. What type of use cases you'll be able to deliver at that point?
I can tell you just one as an example, ultra low latency. You can see that with the existing non-standalone implementations, the latency is similar to the one that we are getting with LTE networks. With the standalone, you can get down to even 2 millisecond latency, which is not achievable by today's implementation. This is just an example. Of course, the major advantage is that you are moving, let's say, to the most modern technology, and you are giving the control of your network on a simplified and automated network that you don't have it today. Even if you build, let's say, a virtualized network, this will not be, let's say, a self-healing and cloudified network that is aimed to be happening on the 5G standalone architecture. And on top of this, it's time to get rid of a lot of legacy things and build our future on a modern technology. So just an example, ultra reliable, low latency applications.
Excellent. Thank you for the questions to the audience members that are submitting those. And in the time we have remaining, let's just maybe get to this big question around consumer 5G service revenues. I mean, a lot of the talk about 5G monetization, very narrow focused on delivering these meaningful enterprise use cases. So the question to both of you is, at what point does consumer 5G start to command a premium? Brian, could you start us off?
Sure. I think, I think relative to the question broadly, I think it's important to say 5G monetization has already begun. And I think that the dynamics, and much of the audience probably heard from our earnings or our investment notifications, et cetera, relative to when we think the materiality of that comes to fruition. But when you think about today, our customers, we've built tremendous value in our premium unlimited plans, which include content, flexibility, as well as 5G and then 5G ultra wideband. And we're seeing a lot of movement for customers to purchase new 5G capable devices and move up to our premium unlimited plans, which is one key aspect. And then we talked about fixed wireless as that next use case where we're commercial today and we have customers and we're driving revenue, building towards scale. And then there's other work going on with Mac and different dynamics there. And I think one point that relative to your enterprise piece, which I think was spot on, is that is so important though to consumer, because all of that early work that's going on in enterprise is important to shaping what's going to be ultimately B2B to C, right? So these experiences that are being built through enterprise are going to ultimately create those experiences for consumers. So while the killer app is not here yet, the work that's underway holistically to get there, I think, is very impressive. So at this point, I think, imagination is our only limitation, but monetization is real and right in front of us.
Yeah, that's an excellent point about B2B to C. Kostas, any final thoughts here?
Allow me to add an example again. Let's assume that we have customers that are using mobile video and over-the-top video. They are seeing Netflix in their terminals and so on. And suddenly they're entering an area that it's congested. And with the existing technology, you cannot overcome this problem because you say, okay, buffer it, then you wait, maybe there is an interruption and so on. How about having the capability and the eligibility as a customer, if you are using a specific service like, let's say, Netflix or any over-the-top TV service, to say, yeah, I want to pay €5 more or $5 more in order to have a guaranteed bearer wherever I am. And this should be enabled by the network. So at the end of the day, the end users will have enhanced user experience and new services, regardless their position, their status, and the condition of the network. Because even in congested network with the network slicing concept, you can reserve certain resources from the network in order to serve the end user. So a lot of new use cases will pop up, and I'm sure that there are end users that are willing to pay. Let's see at the digital natives, the young kids that are paying, let's say, online gaming. If they have, let's say, the low latency proposition in their hands, they are willing to get a premium tariff for this in order to have a real-time experience, even on an AR or VR environment. So I think more and more we are entering an era that the end user is willing to pay a premium in order to be served in the best way and on a guaranteed manner. This is my statement.
Excellent. Well, I really appreciate both of you taking the time to share your perspectives and give us an update on what your respective organizations are doing. It's very valuable to me, very valuable to our audience. And to our audience, I'd encourage you to move over to the networking platform where we've got some round tables starting, lots of interesting topic and some great subject matter experts available for you to connect with. So thank you again, gentlemen. Take care.
Pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.